Now we are live.
Okay, cool.
What is up, my brother?
What's going on with you, my man?
Man, you know, it's a tank top Thursday. yeah,
Tank Top Thursday, huh?
yeah,
I
yeah.
got you. I
But
got you.
yeah, welcome to another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. And beyond the algorithm, it's a lot of stuff going on. There's rockets flying everywhere.
Tell me about it.
And I think we're due for a good um world news type of version of this,
Mhm.
episode where we get a chance to talk about what's really going on that nobody wants to address. I feel like Israel's always been a taboo topic to discuss for whatever reason, and it's very sensitive for a lot of political reasons, but we're going to talk about it, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to bring some light to it, make some things make sense, share some information, and fill in some information gaps, though. So
Mhm.
I got my man Cavi Wallace up here. He's one of my favorite people to do content with, and you know I'm gonna let him lead the discussion, and he's gonna take us down the road of what we need to pay attention to and what we don't need to pay attention to. So
Yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, bro, like I appreciate you bringing me on. For one thing, first and foremost, and the thing about this is like talking about this topic, talking about Israel, talking about the Israel-Iran situation that we have right now, and actually being online on a podcast with a veteran such as
mhm.
yourself, that is dope
yeah,
because because you've been there. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
You've seen it, you've breathed the air,
hmm
you experienced the culture. So the thing is that if I say something stupid or I say something ignorant, you can come correct that, Kevin. That's not the way it's over there. And of course, you can go from there.
Yeah,
But what we want to do is we kind of want to talk about this Israel situation because it's a topic that everybody is talking about right now. And we're talking about everybody is talking about
yeah,
that right at least if you're looking at any type of news reporting, you're looking at that anyway, right?
right.
So when when I look at this issue of Israel and Iran, I thought, I'm not gonna lie, when Israel hit them first with the first barrage of missiles, I thought this was going to be pretty much another Gaza-ish looking type thing. I knew it wasn't going to be um a complete like defeat per se.
hmm
I knew that, but I was like, yo, this is gonna be another one right here. It's gonna be another onslaught. It's not gonna be close, So yeah, we're gonna look at another Gaza type situation here.
Okay.
Um, but when I saw Iran retaliate, that's when I said, okay, this might be a little different. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
It might be a little different. This might go another place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's interesting to watch because what we're watching a moment in history that we've never seen before. We've never seen this before. This is one of the most amazing things to see. And I'm not saying amazing because um I'm not suggesting I'm on Iran's side with this. I'm not suggesting that at all because technically I got beef with both of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I got beef with Arabs. I got beef with Jews because of history. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
It's not like I got beef with all of them, but it's the history part of it where a black man who knows their history as much as I do, you would have beef with both of them. So I'm not on either side. But what I'm watching Iran with a barrage of missiles, ballistic missiles. I'm hearing they have no such thing as infinite, but it's enough to overwhelm the Iron Dome and get through. And we're starting to see that. And what they were doing in the beginning is they were launching what they called or what they reported on the independent news stations, their cheaper missiles or the older generation missiles, which really
hmm
don't count for anything. You know what I'm saying? And it really not
hmm
costing anything. It's costing Israel more money to shoot them down than the missile is actually worth. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So now that they've launched a lot of those. And they still got a lot of those left. They still got a lot of drones left. What you're seeing now is you're seeing next generation missiles coming into Israel. And the Iron Dome can't defend itself from that. And it's amazing to see. You know, if we're talking about hypersonic missiles, this is next gen technology. And seeing these videos of these missiles coming in, and people who used to be kind of comfortable with missiles coming into their territory, they get in their their underground bunkers, and we'll just wait it out. We'll wait for the horns to stop. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll come out, and we're back to party. Videos ain't like that no more. It's a lot of screaming. It's a lot of children crying. It's a lot of women screaming. It's a lot of panic right now, to the point where the U.S. now has to be in that situation room or the war room, and they have to discuss, okay, are we going to intervene on this right here? And the thing is that it's like this. If you've been watching any type of independent media and people who are experts at this topic right here, what they're letting you know is they're letting you know that because we've been fighting a proxy war against Russia for a while now, Biden administration, of course, we are low on missiles right now. We're low on interceptor missiles, and we're low on our old military technology, which still is used in war, because I just explained to you, Iran is using older military technology to overwhelm the Iron Dome. So now what we have, because we've been fighting this proxy war against Russia, is we have our military stock load depleted. Okay, not saying that we're out, not saying that we're defenseless here in the United States, because we're never defenseless. We're always going to have something ready to go, stock, lock, and barrel, right? We ready to go. But in this case right here, we're to the point where we need to sit down, chill out, sit back, regroup, and get ready for the next event. Our next event. You feel what I'm saying? Not somebody else's next event, but our next event. And that's where we're at this point. So it worries me that if in these 2 weeks that Donald Trump says he's going to make a decision to go ahead and intervene, if he intervenes, this is what happens. Okay, what happens is this decision that Donald Trump has to make is going to make his presidency. It's going to make or break his presidency. Okay, he's going to be remembered for that decision. Okay,
yeah.
All right. So not just that, but also it's divided the right. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's divided the right like a mug, bro. Like it's crazy. Like everybody's talking about this this Tucker Carlson.
Give an example of that, because
Do you have that video up?
Yeah, I can pull that clip up right now.
All right, so once he pulls this video up, you guys will see this. The people who have not been following this, it's okay if you haven't been following it. We'll catch you up. But there was a interview between Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz, and Tucker went at Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Do you have that video?
Yeah, here it is right here.
Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
this is
Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay. Hey, I'm gonna run it back one time. You know what I'm saying? So
really believe
we're
that?
Carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here, because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
this is
Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
Right. So he's correct. Alex Pfeiffer did say that. He denied us intervening in any way, shape, or form, as of right now, So at the end of the day, like, Tucker is extremely sharp, and Ted Cruz knows that Tucker is extremely sharp. So when Tucker caught him in that, watch your words.
Yep.
Cruz, watch your damn words, because that can trigger some real shit.
Yeah, for real.
And yeah, I'm cussing because at this point, you're a fucking senator, and we have troops in these areas that are within striking zone of what Iran has. You know what I'm saying? Our troops are in striking zone. So if you misspeak and say, yeah, we're assisting Israel, what did you just do to our troops that's over there?
Well, and Iran has definitely been in the mix of a conversation about striking military US military assets, right?
Absolutely.
So because that's the next escalation, you know what I'm saying, from based on the region in itself.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about IPAC.
Hey, before you do that,
before we get there, but I
see my man Clifford Hootie Mac. He posted on here, said whites waking up. You know they slow. So and to give you a little history behind Hootie, he's military as well.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So he's a vet as well. So he probably knows a whole lot about this stuff. So he's probably keeping up with. He's probably knows to the TV like we are. You know what I'm saying, and keeping up with it. So I definitely respect anything that he has to say. And like I said, being a vet yourself and being over there, breathing the air, knowing the culture, all those things, man. I mean, definitely, bro. This is your show. Weigh in on what you know.
Yeah, like the thing is about the region is that a lot of the conflict that's taking place in that area stems from a lot of residue left over from the Iran-Iraq war that started in 1980. Those two countries, they didn't really come away with anything but a lot of dead people after 8 years of conflict.
Right.
They it's still on for some people, kind of like North Korea and South Korea. In North Korea, it's still on. It's just an armistice, you know, and nobody just hasn't shot anything. And this is similar, you know. But with the things that you have to take into consideration, geographically speaking, Iran is to the east of Iraq.
Okay.
And Israel is to the west of Iraq. They shot rockets over the country, which means somebody had to clear some airspace.
Right. Right.
And somebody said, hey, I'm going to Cashapp you. Put your planes on the ground.
He said Cashapp you.
I'm about to send you something on Cashapp. You know what I'm saying? Like don't let nothing fly, because I'm about to fly something over there. You know what I'm saying? So like there's a lot of implied agreements that you can kind of see, because the reality is that, let's just say Iraq didn't want to comply. They don't have a military anymore to defend themselves. So like there's this country called the US that kind of like blew it up, you know.
Yeah.
You know, kind of did some things to it. So they could easily say, hey, we'll come over there, you know.
Right.
And it's so culturally diverse because like there's a region in Iraq called Kurdistan that's basically Iranian Kurds, you know, that live there. So they got people that have their own roped off territory in another country. So they're going to find a way to be nice to each other. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So based on proximity and who's done the most for them in recent history, Iraq don't have a reason to pacify U.S. interest, you know?
No.
So because like you have to really think about who would have to sign off on, and let's just say maybe they didn't clear airspace. Maybe they decided they're going to shoot it anyway.
Right.
Who cares? They still can't do anything about it.
Right. Yeah. Not a damn thing. Yeah.
So Iraq sitting back saying, well, it ain't us.
They're taking videos of it.
Yeah. And they're like,
well, Allahu Akbar.
Yeah. They had the Allahu Akbar, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the other part of it is that the Iranian culture is not all Muslim, is Persian.
Right.
It's a diverse mix of people, you know, so there's some cultural impasses there that have yet to be brought to light, you know, and all the countries in that region, even if they got beef with each other, they'll put that beef to the side to deal with Israel. So I want to play this video about IPAC. I got 2 videos about it. And we're going to start with the most recent one. Then I'm going to go back to an older video. We're just going to compare the two and see how those videos, the information from it is still being, still relevant today.
Okay.
Our country is being held hostage by Israel. Okay, I'm going to get in so much trouble for that. I don't even care. It's something's cracking. It's catalyzing. The conversation is moving because we are seeing people that are having their entire livelihoods destroyed for critiquing a foreign nation. That is an absurdity. You know what else is an absurdity? Think about this. In 2020, the United States government announced that it was considering banning the Chinese social media platform TikTok. That was upon a request from then President Donald Trump. He viewed TikTok as a national security threat. So he signed an executive order that same year banning TikTok in just 45 days if it was not sold. And guess what happened? That executive order got blocked. The app survived until the app got on the wrong side of Israel. You guys remember this. After October 7th, things on TikTok weren't trending in the pro-Israel way. In fact, it was very much trending in the pro-Palestinian way. And the ADL's John Greenblatt said, yeah, no, this is a problem and we have to deal with it. Let me jog your memory. Here's what he said.
We really have a TikTok problem, a Gen Z problem that our community needs to put the same brains that gave us Tagli, the same brains that gave us all these other amazing innovations, need to put our energy towards this, like, fast. Because again, like, we've been chasing this left-right divide. It's the wrong game. The real game is the next gen.
Seems like a really nice guy. He just needs to deal with this generational problem that is TikTok. And boy, did he move fast. Yeah, the anti-Semitism bill, which is horrific, made its way through the House and it got passed somehow. So yeah, things are pretty strange, and it makes sense when you consider the fact that Thomas Massie, my favorite congressman in the entire world, because he seems to be the only one that will stand up to AIPAC, recently went on Tucker Carlson and he had this to say. Take a look.
Everybody but me has an AIPAC person.
What does that mean, an AIPAC person?
It's like your babysitter, your AIPAC babysitter, who is always talking to you for AIPAC. They're probably a constituent in your district, but they are, firmly embedded in AIPAC. And
every member has something like this?
I don't know how it works on the Democrat side, but that's how it works on the Republican side. And when they come to DC, you go have lunch with them, and they've got your cell number, and you have conversations with them. So I've had
that's absolutely crazy.
I've had 4 members of Congress say, "I'll talk to my AIPAC person," and it's literally what we call them, my AIPAC guy. I'll talk to my AIPAC guy and see if I can get him to, dial those ads back.
I'll talk to my AIPAC person. I was going to talk to you guys about this topic, but I gotta go call my AIPAC person, because I gotta see what I'm allowed to say. Does that seem normal to you? He goes on later to talk about how they should have to register, obviously, because you have a foreign country that is impacting American politics, and that should be illegal. But of course, Thomas Massie is wading into some dangerous water, so to speak, because we know that there was once a president who wanted to make AIPAC register as foreign, and he ended up shot. Coincidentally, ended up shot. So Thomas Massie better be.
And before you go to the next video.
Yeah.
Before you go to the next video. So
seems like
that's everybody for a long time who keeps up with this type of stuff, like you and I.
Yeah.
And others who are watching. They we've talked about AIPAC for a long time and the power that AIPAC possesses, right?
Yeah.
The influence. And she was talking about JFK being shot. Pretty much. Now I don't know if the Zionists were behind that. I'm not going to go into any conspiracy theory of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised by what Candace Owens has been doing here lately, that Candace Owens is still living.
Yeah, for real.
Like dog, she has went after
in the trenches.
Yo, she has went after the Zionist movement hard as hell, bro. And I would have to say, if I had a top 5 of who was going after the Zionist movement, the worst it would be Candace Owens #1, Kanye #2.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's being led by black people, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, like,
Yeah.
people are starting to question, you know, what's going on. Who's really running this country? You know what I'm saying? Who's really, you know, who's really in possession of the controls and the buttons, you know, of where we attack next in the Middle East, you know. But yeah, man, you said you got another video?
Yeah, you had an awesome segue, and I'm getting ready to pull it up right now, because when you start talking about who's running the show,
Yeah, who's running the show?
yep, and then so
This building are the headquarters of AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. They would not let us photograph inside their headquarters. AIPAC says it is the spearhead for support for Israel here in Washington. It is not a political action committee. It does not make campaign contributions. But the clout of AIPAC here on Capitol Hill is legendary.
Practically every congressman and senator says his prayers to the AIPAC lobby. No, they've done an enormous job of corrupting the American democratic process.
isn't that interesting that Candace Owens, 1988?
Wow.
Okay, we
Wow.
what? How many seconds we in? 29 seconds in.
Wow.
All right, let's go.
George Ball was #2 in the State Department under Presidents Kennedy and Johnson, and he has never been reluctant to criticize the pro-Israel lobby.
It's the most effective lobby in the United States today, and I would put that ahead of the National Rifle Association.
What's wrong with picking a candidate to support on the basis of the way that he has voted? Isn't that the American way?
I think it's a caricature of the American way.
The word power, when it's used for AIPAC, is a myth. It's baloney. AIPAC is powerful only because the American people are behind Israel.
Rabbi Israel Miller is the vice president of AIPAC. AIPAC is not anti-Chafee.
No, AIPAC has put on the public record his votes on some of the issues that concern us, but we deal with a very politically aware and sophisticated group of people, the pro-Israel community, and they make up their own minds. You know, if we were
You
to
don't
tell
direct them?
We do not direct them.
Let me read to you a memo, an AIPAC memo, November 3rd, 1987. Senate race. Lieutenant Governor Richard Leach, Democrat, Rhode Island, is running against incumbent Senator John Chafee, Republican. Leach, who is Jewish, has a very good chance. Our problem is that the pro-Israel community is not excited and as forthcoming as they should be. We need to put the word out on this race, emphasizing Chafee's poor record. The focus should be to generate interest for a terrific candidate to replace a poor supporter of our issue. See attached voting record and Marty's analysis. It's an AIPAC memo.
Who signed it? I don't.
Bruh, 1988.
1988.
And the guy that was talking previously was on the Kennedy administration
Right.
with the same complaints.
Right.
20 years removed, 25 years prior to this.
Who's running the show?
We're going to find out.
Recognize it as an AIPAC memo.
Rabbi Miller continued.
In this case, I think all that was being said was that Leach has a chance against an incumbent senator.
Who has a poor record. And we got to get the word out.
His record is not as poor as some other senators.
Shortly after that interview, AIPAC confirmed that the memo was in fact written by a former AIPAC political staffer. But they insisted she was a low-level employee and that her memo did not reflect AIPAC policy. And that's important for AIPAC because under U.S. federal election regulations, if it were shown that pro-Israel PACs were working in conjunction with AIPAC or were coordinated by AIPAC, that would arguably be a violation of the law. Well, shortly before this broadcast, 60 Minutes received in the mail from an anonymous sender another memo written by a high-level AIPAC official, Liz Schreier, in which she urged a colleague to make certain that several pro-Israel PACs around the country funnel cash contributions to a handful of senatorial candidates. AIPAC officials acknowledged to us the memo was indeed an AIPAC document, but they declined to answer any questions about it. They said in a statement that despite appearances to the contrary, AIPAC does not have the power to direct fundraising decisions. Now, who are other senatorial candidates in current races with what pro-Israel PACs call poor records on Israel? Well, for instance, this year, many pro-Israel PACs are trying to defeat incumbent Senator Chick Hecht of Nevada, even though he is Jewish, because he too did not follow the AIPAC line on weapon sales to the Arabs. And there are many who charge that AIPAC with its sights set only on Israel, is just too demanding of U.S. politicians.
We aren't demanding of U.S. politicians. We have a concern about Israel, which is understandable, particularly in this generation. Had you and I been in certain parts of Europe, we would have walked to Auschwitz together. We're very sensitive about the security, about the future of Israel, and support of Israel means that we feel that it is in the interest not merely of Israel, but also in the interest of the United States. Israel is a strategic ally of the United States.
Like, for real, how can a group of people that's less than 1% of the world's population be in such entrenched positions to have this much of an impact? Now, I was telling my partner this, because we were having this discussion, one of my veteran friends. I think we lose sight of the fact that Jewish culture is older than the United States.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So the structure of how they run their culture, there's somebody for every task at every critical pivot point.
Absolutely.
That's going to uphold the standard of their culture no matter what.
No matter what, right. Mm-hmm.
And they're going to do business internationally because they have to, because up until them getting that piece of land that used to be known as all Palestine,
right,
they have had to be nomads, because they've been booted out of every country they've been in.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have to look at the way that they have to move in order to, I guess, sustain, period.
Mm-hmm. Right. I want you to share this. I want you to share this the screen with me if you don't mind.
Okay.
All right.
I'll come back to the video.
All right.
Remove the other media. Hang on. Let me.
All right. Tell me when you're ready. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
You see Ted Cruz up there, right?
Yep.
All right. Listen to this right here.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of it, says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my...
You're supposed to know that if you're going to say that.
It's in Genesis. So you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it. And you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology. I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But what? Hold on. Define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
And is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the descendants
God's
of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes. Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible.
So you can go ahead and exit out of that right there. So did you see what Tucker did right there?
In recent years, AIPAC and the pro...
Okay, so Tucker, what he did is he said, we have to support Israel, the same Israel that we see
that Netanyahu is running,
that we see today, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think Israel was established in 1942.
I think 48.
48. I don't know. I thought it was 42. I'm say 48. It's in the 1940s, somewhere like that, right?
Yeah.
So, and if I had the actual longer clip of that, what Tucker said is he said, "Are you referring to these people from Poland?"
Oh boy.
And I was like, Tucker, you're a monster, bro. Because at the end of the day, this is something that's been questioned for a while now.
It was May 14, 1948, by the way. I had the year
1948.
right.
Okay, you're correct. You got it. You got it. Okay, so and that's the reason why you're here, man.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
but anyway, like I said, so I was 6 years old. That's the reason why you're here. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, what you have is you have people from Poland. You have people from European nations in a land that, for one, wasn't even known as the Middle East. It was known as Northern Africa.
Yep.
Okay, let's just be honest here. You know, at one time, and people may disagree because they just don't know the history. At one time, everything that we refer to as the Middle East was all black.
Yep.
At one time, it was all black. If you look at the Sphinx, that's an African face. Okay, you look at all the pharaohs and everything before the Persians came and conquered. All those faces are the phenotype of Africans. Okay,
Yep.
So we know that in those years that the Bible was written, we know that the people who were referred to as Jews, or whatever you want to call them, were most likely people of color. I'm not gonna say black. We'll just say people of color, right?
They were not Polish.
They were not Polish, and that's what Tucker was alluding to. He's like, these people over here right now are plants. We put them there. We gave them a military. We give them what, $7 billion a year?
Yep.
$2 to $7 billion a year for their survival,
and a lot of autonomy too.
Right. So we know that these people living in Israel right now are not Jews. They are Jew-ish. Keyword ish at the end, suffix ish. That means you're not that, you just practice that, or you're close to it because of practice, but you're not that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's like the sitcom Black-ish. You know what I'm saying? Like ish is saying that you're not exactly that. You know what I'm saying? They're black, but they kind of don't live that experience. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, and maybe that was a bad example. I don't know. You can say if that was a bad example or not. But
no, because like you had to look at it like people confuse nationality with patriotism, with ethnic alignment, with religious alignment.
Right.
Like you don't have to be, you don't have to speak Arabic to be a Muslim.
No. Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be black or a resident of the Southeast to be a Baptist.
Right.
But because a lot of people align things, culturally off of what they see, that's performative,
Right.
And a lot of people definitely believe that the people that live in Israel are performing the religious alignment of what I'm saying, who they believe to be Jews.
Right.
When we just looking at it from an ethno standpoint, you know what I'm saying? Because like you said, if the original people that lived in Northern Africa were not pale and not from Poland,
no,
they probably had a higher degree of melanin, you know what I'm saying? And they probably look more like the people of Palestine that's getting pushed into the ocean.
Right. If you're right, they're going to be,
and they have their own genetic they'd have their own genetics, period. Like they're not, they have some African, they have some Moroccan, that there's a lot of different cultures in the people that make up, like the Palestinian people, genetic chain,
Right. And now, Garrett, if you're looking at his comment right here, he's bringing up a great point. He says one of the biggest questions are we crediting the Bible as an authentic collection of historical accounts or not? So that's a great question.
It is.
So we're basing wars, according to Ted Cruz, off of biblical passages.
Yeah. Hey,
that's a great point, Garrett.
Yeah,
Hey,
it
give me
is.
the shots fired. Where's it at? Where's it at?
Look, hold up. Let me go ahead and get in.
That's a great point, Garrett.
Yeah,
For real, brilliant point, for real.
because hold up. Because I need to bring that up. And the other thing is too, I want to point this out because I saw when this comment came up.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a conflict in a region where religion is very, very centered, you know what I'm saying, at the center of the conflict, one side is gonna not talk about the belief system part of it.
Right.
They're gonna talk about the political angle of it. They're gonna talk about policy. They're gonna talk about intention, you know.
Right.
And the other side that's got the right to defend, they're going to base their need to defend off of something that's cultural, something that gives them the authority to do whatever they want to protect themselves or to do it. Like in this situation, somebody's reading the Quran and saying we got full access to what's going on over there. You know,
right.
The Quran said we can shoot these rockets over there.
Right.
That's how some people are interpreting that, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Right. So some people are going to see a territorial dispute that's based on a money conversation, right? And then the other side is going to just see a holy war. You know what I'm saying? No matter how you do the math. So I think that to add more credence to what Garrett is saying, I think any religious text is always going to be relevant to somebody in the discussion. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whether we like it or not, or what we think, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's just another layer to how diverse a conflict there actually is, and the lengths that people will go through to prove their point. So much so that you have people that move from Poland that say that they're more Jew than the people that they pushed out.
Right, the people that they forced out. Right.
So this is why, like, when people hear me say all things are true, this is what I'm talking about, because they believe that in their culture that they were pushed off of their land centuries before they was even, involved in the I guess the collateral damage or the being the target of Hitler in the, you know what I'm saying, of World War II,
right, in
an ethnocentric cleansing. So that has to be discussed as well.
Okay, Garrett posted another thing. He said,
"Yeah, I see him right there.
Yeah,
I'm about to pull it.
Okay, pull it up. I'll go ahead and read this right here.
Yeah.
I like to read the comments. He says, even as a Christian, I disagree with Cruz. Genesis 12:2-3, where Christians often go for their support for Israel. God was speaking to Abraham. Israel, formerly Jacob, wasn't even born yet.
Well,
yeah, Garrett, you may have a place at a podcast somewhere, man, because I mean, some great points here. Dog.
Yeah,
but yeah, and I saw someone break that down earlier in a podcast that I was watching, and he is completely correct about that. So, dude, when Cruz, that was the worst interview I've ever seen Ted Cruz do. I've never seen him do an interview worse than that.
And that goes back to the point. That's the political part of it. He doesn't even know that somebody said, "Hey, Cruz, go clean that up." That's what it looks like.
Right.
And Cruz like, "I got this." Tucker knows who I am. Right. And Tucker's like, they're going to send Cruz dumbass over here.
Right.
I'm going to clean him up.
I'm going to clean his ass up.
like a nasty diaper. You know what I'm saying?
So one thing that I thought I would never see, and we're going to stay on the Tucker Carlson thing right now. I never thought I would see Tucker Carlson and Donald J. Trump beefing.
It's a lot of infighting, like you were saying before. How
the right is divided. Yep. The right is divided. It is honestly divided. I thought that I would never see the day where the right was divided. Of course, it all started, I think, with the whole Doge thing. And
I go back further than that. No,
they go back further than
that because they were divided before they chose Trump.
Oh, you're correct in saying that. So okay, let me clear that up with what I was saying like that. Okay,
I know. I'm just saying like these are
you have MAGA, then you have the rhinos.
Yeah, you know. Then you had the Tea Party too. You know what I'm saying?
You had the Tea Party. Right. So there was a division in there prior to any of this right here.
Correct.
What I'm talking about is like when it comes to war, and it comes to waging war. I don't think I've ever seen the Republicans or Democrats, for that matter, divided in such a way to where. Right. I've never seen this. This is the most impressive thing that I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, dude, like truths are coming out right now. I don't know what Kanye is, but Kanye may be a little bit more than a rapper. Because he kind of started speaking on all this shit before any of this stuff started going down. You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't the first one doing it, of course. There were people years before Kanye talking about this type of stuff. But to see Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump going at it like they're going at it, it's like Donald Trump said. He said Tucker Carlson needs to go out here and find him a TV channel to be a part of or something like that. Why would you even say that, Donald? You won your presidency off of long form podcasts.
Yep.
You didn't win your presidency off of legacy media. And he knows that they, I got something else to read. Hold on.
Yeah.
It says, I often check people. Physical Israel is often referred to as the land, unsaved, etc. But spiritual is Jesus, born again, saved people. Abraham was a man of faith, not Judaism. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. You know, now that right there, what I would like to do is I like to host a podcast with people like Garrett that have it seems like he has a strong what word am I looking for? He has a strong knowledge of scripture.
Yeah.
I would like a pro-Israel preacher or pastor or person who has a strong knowledge of scripture and a person like Garrett to go up against them and see how that, you know, pans out, because it needs to be discussed, to be honest with you.
Yep. Man, let's finish this up real quick.
Okay.
Israel PACs have helped defeat, among others, Congressman Paul Findlay and Pete McCloskey, Senators Harrison Schmitt of New Mexico, Walter Huddleston of Kentucky, and Chuck Percy of Illinois. Like Senator Chafee, Percy too came out in favor of that sale of AWACS to the Saudis.
I finally reached the stage where, as chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, I saw our foreign policy totally turned around. With a Muslim world, 800 million people looking askance at the United States of America, what is happening? Who is running the foreign policy? Can Israel and the Prime Minister have more power than the entire Senate of the United States or the President of the United States? And that, to me, I simply said, enough is enough.
That particular AWACS sale to Saudi Arabia did manage to pass the Congress. And in 1984, pro-Israel PACs and other individuals spent millions to unseat the powerful Senator Percy.
Let me just quote to you the words of the executive director of AIPAC, Tom Dyer. After the defeat of Chuck Percy a few years back, he said to a Jewish group in Toronto, quote, all the Jews in America from coast to coast gathered to oust Percy, and the American politicians, those who hold public positions now, and those who aspire, got the message.
It was an unfelicitous expression of that which Tom felt in his enthusiasm and in his zeal. I think if he had it to say all over again, he would have put it altogether differently.
The level of bullshit to come out of this man's mouth, man.
Yo,
the level of complete bullshit to come out of this man's mouth.
Yo, he already fixing his face to be disingenuous. But he was like, he said, I got a letter here. And you see his face, he was already like, I don't care.
Right. I'm going to say what I'm going to say regardless. I'm still not going to give you the ammo that you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? So, this is crazy. Yeah, go ahead, keep playing it. Yeah.
Has become a major force in shaping U.S. policy in the Middle East. Organization has gained the power to influence a presidential candidate's choice of staff, to block practically any arms sale to an Arab country, and to serve as a catalyst for intimate military relations between the Pentagon and the Israel army. How did AIPAC become so powerful?
Again, I'll say that that's very flattering, but it's a myth. It's just not so. The American people support Israel, and therefore Congress votes as it does.
One of Israel's staunchest supporters is Senator Daniel Inouye of Hawaii, who says that AIPAC has nothing to do with his feelings about Israel.
If I can help Israel help herself in every instance, I do so. I'm also convinced it's in our national interest. I've yet to see any country in that part of the world that is as reliable as far as our strategic requirements are concerned as Israel is.
I don't believe it's an ally at all. We have no alliance with it. I mean, they insist on total freedom of action, and they insist on our subsidizing their total freedom of action.
The amount of that subsidy is remarkable and a testament to AIPAC's clout on Capitol Hill. Altogether, Israel gets more than $3 billion a year in assistance from the United States.
Sometimes the votes go through without a single debate. involving billions of dollars. You couldn't spend that kind of money in this country without a huge debate going on. But
Pause.
a foreign government gets this money without.
Okay, so this is in 1988. So he said $3 billion. So we're going to adjust that for inflation. So let's see what that looks like.
Yeah,
Hold on,
what's $3 billion adjusted for inflation?
Oh Lord, $3 billion in 1988 adjusted. I should have just asked ChatGPT, but I didn't. Adjusted for inflation. Let's see here. So CPI, let's see here. January 1988. All right, so 3. Hold on. Let me just do this because I'm messing up. Hold on. Back to chat.
I'm already
Okay,
there.
hold on. This was 3 billion.
8.1 billion.
So, like I said 7 billion. I said 7.
$3 billion is 1988 is 8.1 billion.
I'm sorry I disappointed you on. I'm the stat guy. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I didn't have my shit set up. So I didn't pay. Yeah. But I appreciate you backing me up, though, bro. That's what I love you for.
Yeah,
you know
hey man. Me and that code, bro. You know what I'm saying?
So at the end of the day, we're talking $8 billion a year. Now, gentleman here said that if there was that type of money spent in the United States, at any point, there would have to be some type of discussion. Well, back in 1988, that would have been the case. But now with $37 trillion in national debt, and seeing what Doge uncovered, whether you want to believe it or not, we don't have those discussions anymore. But these people are getting paid a lot of money,
lobby. They're getting paid a lot of money, to block Arab nations from getting weapons that could destroy Israel.
Right.
So
is that really what it is, though? I mean,
that's part of it, but the main thing is that they're getting the money to defend themselves, and participate in blocking in other political leverage positions. You know what I'm saying? So they have to go try to manipulate as many elections as possible, because when you think about it, right, they're part of less than 1% of the population, so they have to protect their people. That's the logic that they operate with. So, but anyway,
what's so crazy about this right here, and this is something I want to speak on when it comes to the Donald Trump thing, right?
Yeah.
I feel like Donald's followers, President Trump's followers, the people who love and adore him, I feel like they thought he was anti-establishment, a person that could not be bought off. And I think they're a lot disappointed right now because of how Donald Trump is talking. You know what I'm saying? You have Tulsi Gabbard 8 weeks ago saying that, they have such and such amount of, uranium already enriched. Uranium already enriched. But they are not trying to produce any type of weaponry with that.
Right.
And she just said that 8 weeks ago. So 2 months, right? And then you have Donald Trump saying, "Oh no, they're looking to build, bombs. They have enough to build 9 atom bombs, And then there was a reporter that questioned President Trump and said, "Well, Tulsi Gabbard just said 8 weeks ago they weren't looking to make any type of weapons. They don't have any proof." And he said, "I don't care what Tulsi Gabbard said." You know what I'm saying? I don't care what Tulsi Gabbard said. So the thing is that I will say this. The assassination attempt on Donald J. Trump, President Trump, that right there, I think was a warning shot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think that was a warning shot.
Literally,
literally to let him know, we do feel like you're going to win the presidency, and you talk all this big shit like you run things, but we will blow your head off in front of the world. And not think twice about it.
Yep, and let your country turn itself upside down.
Right,
doing so.
Right. In doing so, we would destroy America just for the interest of what we want. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We don't care shit about your damn country. You know, we run this thing. We just need to let you know we run this thing. We'll blow your head off like we did JFK. Now, like I said, not insinuating that the Zionists had anything to do with the assassination of JFK.
Those other politicians believe they did. So I mean, we're just echoing their like
we just want to make sure that we're establishing on this podcast that that's not a conspiracy theory that we're saying that is truthful. We'll just say that do the research on your own, and you may possibly see something that may lead to that. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You'll be able to fill in a couple of pieces. You know what I'm saying? Take from that whatever you want to. Like
right, man. I mean, so at the end of the day, bro, it's like I see this, and this is why I titled my side when I shared this content. I said, is the right divided? And at this point, I would have to say that the right is definitely divided at this point. Not only have you pretty much said that I have to kiss the ring, like every other president has kissed the ring. You know what I'm saying?
This video telling you they've been kissing the ring for a long time.
You want to finish the video?
Yep, we got to.
Well.
It's on. So that this thing is deep.
Debate because simply it's just organized to get it.
Why does Israel get more aid, more U.S. aid, than any other country in the world? $700 per Israeli per year.
Damn.
As opposed to $50 per Egyptian per year. As opposed to $2 per African per year.
None of this money goes for the $700 goes to raise the living standard of Israeli people. This is for their defense. This is for the security of Israel. If Israel were destabilized, the Arabs, with all of their petrodollars and with all of their weapons, would just sweep Israel into the sea.
Is there a possibility of a backlash if Israel is perceived as too powerful in the halls of government here in Washington?
There's always this possibility if people begin to believe that little Israel is calling the shots. And I'm certain Americans would resent that. They won't want any country, big or small, to be calling the shots in the Congress of the United States.
Hell no.
But I don't think that AIPAC is calling the shots as far as I'm concerned.
Is it common sense or cowardice on the part of senators who just don't want to talk about this?
Oh, I would say the senators would say it's just being practical.
This past week, 3 major Jewish organizations took issue with AIPAC. The leaders of the American Jewish Committee, the American Jewish Congress, and the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith asserted in a letter to the president of AIPAC that AIPAC does not speak by the consensus of the organized Jewish community. And in a CBS News poll of 1,530 American adults 2 weeks ago, we asked, do you think that in order to preserve the security of Israel, the U.S. should give Israel more aid than it gives any other country? 13% said yes, 72% said no, 15% said they don't know.
Yo, 1988.
1988, bro. I was 8 years old when them dudes was talking about this shit. I'm 45 now, or 44 now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's relevant.
And it's relevant to this day.
All those guys probably dead.
Yeah. Many of them. Yeah. Probably passed on.
They got the same problem.
Same exact issues. And I think that's the reason why we're in the moment that we're in right now.
Yeah.
What happens if President Trump says, yeah, we're going to go ahead and intervene. We'll go ahead and use our bunker busters to attack the nuclear sites that are way underground that your bunker busters can't reach. And they go that route.
Right.
Where do we go from there is the question. And here's what worries me, Vic. And I don't want to worry anyone out there who's looking at this podcast. You know, it's late night. It might not be too many looking at it. People might look at it tomorrow. But I don't want to worry any of you. I want you guys to live life because I'm going to live life. But we have to understand that 20 million people crossed this border, you know, in the last 4 years. All right. And I'm not saying this to be anti-immigrant or anything like that. But out of those 20 million, they say 1,500 suspected terrorists crossed that border too. 1,500 sleeper cells have crossed that border, Vic.
Yep.
What did they cross the border with?
If we could barely track them, those are just 1,500 that they was able to count.
That they was able to capture, right? So it could be a lot more. You know what I'm saying? So we could go over there and do all of that. Do we leave ourselves exposed over here? And now Garrett, he mentioned, Israel's got his fingers all over JFK and 9/11 everywhere. Okay. We won't say that we believe in that conspiracy theory. We'll just say do your own research. You may conclude
we will say that they are rumors.
Right.
There are people with access to different information.
Right. Right. So the thing is that we have seen in our country here lately how vulnerable we are. And it doesn't even have to be a dirty bomb. It could be just a person with a gun. It could be a person driving a truck through a busy crowd. It could be so many different ways that terrorists could harm us in this country. It is something to worry about. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is that that's why I say this will be the deciding factor of President Trump's legacy and how he is remembered. Because if he makes the right move, he'll be the greatest president of all time. But if he makes the wrong move and the wrong things happen, he'll be the worst president of all time. And then he'll also bury the Republicans with him.
Yeah, because I said when he got elected that the Democrats were so hurt politically,
right?
That they got internal, they don't make it that they tear each other up before they even get to where they're going. They misrepresent themselves before they get on the camera to confirm the embarrassment, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing they do. When they get on camera, they confirm how remedial that they move,
Right.
And I said also too that the only thing that can stop the Republicans is the Republicans.
That's it.
And
as of right now,
right now, the only thing that can stop them is themselves, because they got all of the influence. They've maintained it. And it's at different tiers of a social engineering pyramid, you know what I'm saying, where they have influence. The lack of masculinity in the country, over a period of time gave Republicans a little bit of nitrous, you know what I'm saying? Because all you had to do is stand on the truth, and the bar was very low. Okay, the bar was extremely low. People arguing over which bathroom to go in, and boys playing in girls sports and stuff like that. You have to pass some very simple laws to just get people to say, "Oh,"
Right.
But now it's time to do the difficult stuff, like even negotiations breaking down at the table, you know what I'm saying? And just because Donald Trump is inspired and motivated to believe that he can close any deal with anybody at any table, he's realizing that everybody's not really driven by money.
No.
That some people are really just driven by leverage.
Yeah.
And I understand why. Because if you're operating in a small number, leverage is the most important thing. It doesn't matter. I got 100 of my homies right over there. Like, oh, okay, I got one gun and kill all of them.
Mm.
Who cares how many homies you got? Tell them to get in line.
Right.
But if you champion success in very basic practices, eventually something's going to come along that's going to actually be a challenge, and you're going to look overwhelmed. Now, I got to see him get to the table with these guys, because the Russia-Ukraine conflict hogged up all of the spaces, for a little bit, and it's still ongoing. Ukraine's getting annihilated still. The the lack of aid going towards Ukraine is really helping them getting, you know what I'm saying, destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a large Jewish population in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people haven't studied, and I encourage people to go back and look at history. Go back and look at Russia before the first revolution. You know, the Russian Revolution in 1917. Check out the Bolsheviks and figure out who's running the show in that region and where the majority of that Jewish influence that ran throughout the region and how it impacted Germany. Imagine what a version of Germany that was ethnically Jewish. You know, they were German, but they were Jewish in a lot of the things that they did. And how did that impact the German citizens that weren't Jewish? What was their experience prior to Hitler even coming into being, prior to the Nazi Party? How did they respond to that? And look at how the rest of the region that's dealing with this is responding to the people that occupy Israel and whose land it actually is, and that conversation that goes along with that political turmoil as well. There's a large repository of cause and effect that gives you the understanding of where the fault lines are, where these conflicts lie, and it's playing out in our politics right here. You know what I'm saying? Right in front of our eyes, because you don't know who's aligned with who. You don't know how much of a performance that most of these people have. And then when you see the other unseen hands that are moving pieces around, you realize who's bought and paid for. Even more, you know who's invested, you know where their equity is, because AIPAC puts money behind the guy that's going to be the best horse to win, because they're not going to lose no matter who's in office.
No. If you want to bring up this comment that Garrett left, ask oneself this, starts with that. Okay, so ask oneself this: according to the Bible, physical Israel will be one to sacrifice the red heifer. Is that see? Let me explain this right here. So I don't have a strong knowledge of all that right there. So I'm just reading what he's saying. Sacrifice of the red heifer. Massive blasphemy to God. Welcome in and worship the Antichrist. Should people support them? That's it.
Yeah. See, and this is the other thing too, man.
You're gonna get a flag, man. Gary, you're gonna get a flag.
What we don't like, this is the other thing too, bro. You know how many things that we don't actually know? We know some things about the Quran.
Right.
You know, generally speaking. I'm not even claiming to know any and everything about it, but we know some things.
Right.
And as it pertains to Christianity, we know some things in terms of just the doctrine, the text, and whatever, you know, cultural significance that these two books primarily occupy the conversation.
Right.
We know very little about Judaism.
Right.
Very little. Collectively, we know very little about it.
Right.
We better learn, you know what I'm saying? Just so we can have an understanding of, because like when you don't know anything, people can say anything in front of you and they're like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about.
Right. Right. So now just reading what, you know, he posted, I gotta look that up.
Oh, I just pulled it up. I just pulled some of it up on ChatGPT.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I already got my.
Okay. So
I'll
tell you what we can do with that then. Because
I'll share my screen real quick.
Okay, I was about to say we're going on an hour, so we can wrap it up and then come back tomorrow, because this is a subject I think that we're going to be able to talk about for days, probably weeks, maybe possibly months. You know,
for real.
And I think we need to start including people in this podcast, like Garrett, like people who do know the scripture. You know what I'm saying? What does it say right there? I can't even see that.
I got you. Hang on.
Hold on. I'll maximize my screen here.
I got mine. No, I got it.
Okay. In Numbers 19, God commands the Israelites to sacrifice a red heifer without blemish as a purification ritual. The ashes from this cow were used to purify those who had come into contact with a corpse, making it the cornerstone of ritual purity. All right, so Jewish significance, okay, essential for rebuilding the third temple of Jerusalem, seen as a requirement for reinstating temple sacrifices and full religious purity. Groups such as Temple Institute have sought red heifers to fulfill this prophetic condition. All right, so we'll see what the Christian significance is. All right, so for Christians, some believe the red heifer is a sign of the end times, as Garrett just stated, as it would signal the coming of the third temple, leading to the return of Christ. However, others view this as a rejection of Jesus' once and for all sacrifice, considering temple sacrifices obsolete or even blasphemous in the new covenant. Okay, so why some call it massive blasphemy? Hebrews 10-14 teaches that Jesus' sacrifice replaced all others. Reinstating animal sacrifice would be seen as denying Christ's sufficiency, which is why some Christians label the red heifer movement or third temple ambitions as blasphemy. The act is viewed as spiritual regression or even rebellion against the gospel. From secular or political angles, some argue that efforts to breed or sacrifice a red heifer have dangerous geopolitical implications, especially around the Temple Mount, leading to accusations of extremism or religious manipulation. Okay. All right. So Garrett just left something else on here too. He's talking about the symbolic and physical.
Yeah.
So the red heifer is symbolic. So the red heifer is both symbolic and physical. The ceremony was performed in Torah. Long story, short story. Perfect red heifer, a certain age, sacrifice for the sins of the people. Okay, all right, okay.
Let me tell you what I thought he was when he said red heifer. I was like, he talking about some gingers.
Talking about red-headed women. Man, you silly as hell with that one. The fate of the world is going to be based off of a redhead chick.
Cancel that. I didn't say that.
Yeah, man. But like I said, we could come back to this tomorrow because, like I said, we're going on to over an hour now.
Yeah.
So
this is good.
I just wanted to get on with you tonight and talk about this because I think it's an important topic to talk about. Yeah, like I said, I think we can include some religious context into this whole conversation. Because it is important to bring that in too. I think I got some ideas of some pastors that may want to be included on this conversation.
Yeah, it is. I think it's very important as someone that has studied extrajudicial killings, religious conflict. This is my backyard right here. So looking at what they believe is more important than thinking about what you want to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be objective here because you can easily get caught up. And once you lose your objectivity, you have to have a side. You know what I'm saying? You have to at some point. And then Jessica, here we go, said next you can introduce Sumerian texts of religion. Yeah, we could bring that up. We could talk about all of it because this is about perspective, man. This is about this is about what we know and what we don't know and what we heard and trying to figure out who is making policy and what is the leverage that people are using to justify it. And that's kind of like when you go back to Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz, as unprepared as he was in there, he still pulled out some made up, pop crackerjack Bible verse,
right?
You know what I'm saying, or
that he didn't even know the context of. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
Right.
and so like you could edit that out, and you may never hear Tucker Carlson correct him or challenge him on it. And now it's law because it's been heard by whoever's biased and slant. You know what I'm saying? It's affiliated with and whoever benefits from it, So Garrett, hey man, we appreciate the
definitely him and Jessica. We appreciate the feedback on that.
Mm-hmm.
So and it looks like both of them because Jessica still posting that
Yeah, they over there
take
cooking
away. Yeah, to take away the separation of the church and state, and that's the biggest problem with trying to rewrite the Constitution. Okay.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, it's like that was never a possibility even from the beginning, because the first people that started writing and authoring the Constitution were Puritans, and there was just no way that you were going to have there was no non-secular people back then. The way that the spirit of the Constitution is non-secular, but the people were secular.
Yeah.
That's why they had a bunch of lawyers to try to write around it and to keep it as sanitized as possible. But the spirit of the people that wrote it was they were believers. No matter how
right. Every single last one of them. Right. So yeah, you're correct about that.
Yep. So that's the dream and the myth that America has, and it's a great marketing plan. You know what I'm saying? When you think about it. Right. So thanks to everybody that tuned into the episode. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Follow Accountable Masculinity. Go follow Cavi Wallace. Look him up. What else? Make sure you guys subscribe to my Facebook page. You know what I'm saying? Become a paid member. We got a private group. We're going to discuss these pointy topics, in greater detail, and send some feedback, man. We out.
Peace.